A brief history of how this fellowship um, came to start this bowl making event that we do here, and our partnership with the Jesse Tree. And this started about 25 years ago. We don't know exactly, but that's a pretty good guess. And at that time, we were ready for some kind of a group activity that would benefit somebody, and we learned about the empty bowl. And this was going on in this country, a celebration wherein empty bowls are made and sold, filled with soup, and the money collected and given to a charity that helps the hungry. And so we thought, okay, that sounds like something we can do. And as it happened, my particular hobby was ceramics, and I had a kiln at home. And I said, well, we can just bring some clay up here and we'll make our bowls. And we did. That first year we made a selection of bowls, just a few of us. Then we got together and we sold the bowls to each other. And we had a crock pot full of soup, and we thought, okay, who are we going to give this money to? And at that time, our go-to organization, whenever somebody came to the door and they needed money or they needed housing or they needed help, we would refer them to the Jesse Tree, and they were always the ones that figured it out and gave them help. So we said, okay, so we'll give this money to the Jesse Tree. And I'm sure that first year it was a giant $100 or something like that. And it was clear that if we were going to make any money, we had to broaden it beyond just our members. So this is when we started making it known, inviting it other people, and we had it here in this room. And we'd all bring crock pots with our own soup in it, and we'd have the soup over here, and we'd have the bowls. And Valencia Arsenault came a time or two, and she played the piano. We had sing-alongs and a glass of wine, and people bought the bowls, and it was a great evening. And so we did that for a couple of years until the number of crock pots that we had overwhelmed the electrical system, and we blew it out. And so at that point, we knew that we could no longer have it here. And so it moved to the Gartenverein, which is the German dancing hall on 27th and O, and we've had it there for years. And instead of us bringing the soup, now area restaurants donate the soup. Beautiful. It's a beautiful evening with wonderful food, and our group that makes bowls has continued every Wednesday night since that time. We meet every week and we make these bowls. And I had a point here. This year, for the first time, we're moving to a new venue. The date will be October 18th. The venue is the Artisan, which is the old City Woodworking Works on 18th and Mechanic. It should be a great evening with lots of soup and desserts and music and wine, and we invite you all to come for that. And so this, and over the years, Ted tells me that the Jesse Tree clears about $30,000 on this night, and this really helps fund their activities. And with that in mind, I'm going to introduce our speaker, David Mitchell, who's going to tell us about the Jesse Tree and what they do. David is a BOI. He graduated from Ball High School, 1983. I had 1883, but you're not that old. 1983. He left the island after high school to study at St. Thomas University in Miami, but he came back to the island. He's had a varied history of what he has done, some of which involved coordinating behavior modification programs at several levels in Galveston Public Schools, and serving as a case manager at ACCT for over 5 years. Then he joined Ted Hanley and the Jesse Tree in 1999, and for them to develop and implement a holistic approach to community assistance. So we're very glad to have David with us. Please help me welcome David Mitchell.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can help somebody with the word or a song, and if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. I actually sat there. Good morning, everyone. Thinking, in a sense, what am I to share with you? So, out of kindness from individuals saying, we're going to sing this. And I was like, what can I sing here? And I'm listening and reflecting upon the UU as a whole. And I think that song is befitting of you. I think that you have and are, and I'm sure will continue to serve the community in the true sense of what service is all about. And so that also was actually one of my, biggest supporters, Ms. Sandra Sullivan, who would actually have me sing at the grocery store. And so there was just a thank and gratitude to her and her friendship for many years, and of course to the church and congregation. And I thought when I walked in here earlier, there was a gentleman playing at the piano, and I said, that sounds like Larry. Larry had come to mind. And I have a little story about Larry. When my mother turned 80, and I told Larry, I went by the shop, and I said, Larry, I need something of an arrangement. She loves red roses. So he's like, oh, we can take care of that. So I went over there, picked it up, and he says, oh, I have something for her. And so it was a corsage. So he made this beautiful red bouquet of flowers. And she was having a tough time because she had had some medical concerns to come be presented to her at the time. And he had this beautiful red corsage. And when I had given it to her and I said, oh, look, you have a corsage. And she says, I didn't get to go to the prom. And so I'm thinking, as I reflect on so many of you, things come to mind of community service, how you give when not even asked to. And I went by and shared that with him, and he's like, well, that's just me. And I said, yeah, but I'm so appreciative because you gave my mother a prom at 80 years old. And so in a positive sense, in the sense of joy, tribute, lighting candle to Larry. And so many of you, if I sit in here, stand up here, kind of like thinking of many individuals. I see Bets, of course, Madeline, Sandra, I see Patsy and Vera in the back, Judy, who has been so diligent and so helpful with one of our most beneficial programs, the Survivor Support Network, that works with drowning victims' families here. And of course, our staff member, Anna Rivera, who was helpful in assisting us in developing our chronic conditions management curriculum in Spanish taking care of the translation. And so there's just, I can go on, but I guess you want to hear, what are we doing? But I had to take a moment to just thank you for all that you have done, all that you are doing, and I'm sure all of what you will continue to do. It is a pleasure and I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize. Absolutely. Okay. No problem. And actually, that's the first time anyone has asked me to speak. Normally, they're telling me to tone it down. But this morning, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and a privilege to meet with you this morning. The purpose of this visit is to thank you for the many years of your incredible support, encouragement, and to provide you with an update on the current status of the Jesse Tree and its services, so you can receive some aspect of clarity about the works that you are supporting. The Jesse Tree is a convening organization that adapts internet technology, designing and programs to maintain current, correct information on where and how to get help or how to help. We implemented a system of the universal screening and assessment that involves the individual and the family to identify obstacles, locate assistance, to create a 1 to 3 year plan to break destructive cycles, and to develop independence and self-sufficiency. The name of the organization, the Jesse Tree, was taken from the book of Isaiah, 11th chapter, 1st verse. A shoot will come up from the stem of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. Now, it's chosen because it offers hope in an often disappointing world and is revered by multiple faith communities so that it's inclusive, welcoming, and unapologetically welcoming and honoring diversity. A quarter of a century ago, when Ms. Madeline Baker and Ms. Bets Anderson, or should I say 2 decades and a half, which sounds better, and the UU Bowlers introduced the Empty Bowl event to support the charitable works of the Jesse Tree. The Jesse Tree was coordinating food fairs at 14 county locations, and it was not easy. Offering food and the chronic conditions classes, Ms. Rivera, as you're well aware, because you assisted and taught at quite a few of them. The Apple a Day Cafe on Market Street that we had, which actually was one of the efforts that at that time was of a great service to not only our unhoused community, but for individuals that were literally trying to figure out means and ways to supplement their income overall, and so they were welcome to come by at that location that we had on 26th and Market. So we were also, and thanks to the UU, if you recall, the early days of delivering the senior food boxes to the communities throughout the city of Galveston, individuals that were in public housing, that were in general, actually some were actually homeowners and some were renters. And it brings up a point because we've never been specific about the profile of the individual of needs that we're serving. We serve insured, uninsured, and uninsured. And so, pardon me, insured, underinsured, and uninsured. I got tongue twisted in a sense. And so the reason why I bring that up, because in some instances, there are programs that actually serve the community solely on a specific need and income base, or what the funding entails, especially sometimes in instances where there's federal funding. That has never been the case for us. And so I appreciate that, because that truly says that we are serving the community holistically and diligently, because needs can come about for any of us at any time. And so with that, when the food fairs were actually operating, it was an ample time for us to bring the approach of making sure that we weren't just distributing food. Most of the, I would say, a good 90% of the individuals had some type of concern, one way or another. And so, interesting enough, with that, with the concern for food, also entailed the need to address medical concerns, medical needs. Large percentage of those that would be attending the food fairs were dealing with chronic medical conditions of hypertension, diabetes, and guess what? In some instances, the individuals that were underinsured as well had not been afforded the opportunity to have that advocacy put in place to address those concerns with their medical providers. We had individuals that were Medicare recipients. We had a high number of individuals that were with Medicare that were in the African American community that were over the age of 65 and literally had thought that, or assumed because their doctor had not approached the conversation about the fact that for women that may have actually needed to have a mammogram. And so these individuals had the coverage and had not been educated or enlightened or informed on what or how to take advantage of those opportunities. The food fair was not only addressing diabetes, hypertension, the need for health screenings. It was also allowing us to have a fair of sort to bring in other providers. Lone Star Legal Aid for legal advocacy. There were the Texas, it's changed its name a number of times, Texas Employment Commission. So we were not trying to just give out food. We were trying to make sure that we provide the whole sense of understanding and enlightenment to the community for those that were receiving our services. We actually, over the years, we actually worked with the churches that actually gradually assumed the responsibility of the food fairs. And that was from Galveston all the way to, I would say, League City. And so they would actually go through a actual training from us with our staff of how to conduct a food fair and make sure that all of these resources and services were being provided and extended. We've actually been quite excited about the fact that we want to actually make sure that we're spending the time that's necessary with working with individuals that are seeking our services in the sense of making sure that they understand that do you have a medical home? If you don't, let's get you connected. We'll show you the process. We'll walk you through. We'll guide you to make sure that if you are not aware of your eligibility, that we will actually assist you, because some individuals would literally cut off from the whole process because they didn't have an ID, they didn't have a birth certificate, or they didn't have a number of documents that sometimes would be expected. And so working with the county health district for the uninsured, working with medical providers, family medicine, Lodi, you were with family medicine, and actually being a leeway for us with coordinating the meetings to address some of the concerns that were of a hindrance for not only uninsured, but underinsured persons as well as insured. So with that, we actually had made sure that from that we were also providing the actual advocacy, self-advocacy, because in a lot of instances people don't know what to say. They take at face value what someone is telling them versus that there may be something that they actually should be receiving or be aware of. And so that was a great tool for us to help educate the community of those that were receiving our services. We would make sure, without coming across as trying to make someone identify with a particular political party, but voter registration was a part of our screening. We would ask, are you a registered voter? If not, all of our case managers were actually voter registrars, so we would actually enroll them. And we would actually empower them to connect with the fact of the importance of voting. Never telling them who they should vote for, but educating them about understanding those concerns that impact your life and who is actually running for an office that's going to be making a decision about your livelihood. So with that, we actually also had in our program that was quite beneficial, which was the bilingual telephone helpline. At the time, it was receiving 50 to 100 calls a day. The calls fall into the following categories: rent and utility funds, 50% of the calls; health, medical equipment and supplies, 25%; food, shelter, and other. Now, each call is triaged, and so the caller expresses their needs, and the dispatcher guides the conversation to inquire about the potential for other and ongoing assistance. Since nutrition is a special concern, and I know that it's been a focus for the whole mission purpose for the UU, you might be interested to learn that with all of the random distribution food fair efforts that we have in our community, we get fewer calls for food. And so, however, at this time, let me clarify, but however, those sites distributing food do not offer medical screening or chronic conditions management. Not to say that the other nonprofits that are working, you mentioned two outstanding ones today, Central Methodist and St. Vincent's House, they do, they're phenomenal. But we have individuals that are not necessarily going to or even aware of their programs and actually may not even go. And so that's where our role come in, is to actually make sure that everyone receives the information that they may be in need of, regardless of if your situation is an unfortunate situation of being unhoused or not. That's why I like to mention that we assist insured, underinsured, and uninsured. And so the actual opportunity for us is to enhance the referral for food by including these concerns. You know, one of the things that comes about are those cases where we still get to work individually. Of recent, we had a person call in on a helpline. It was actually a caseworker that was actually getting ready to transition a person into hospice care. And in that call, the person was an 87-year-old cancer patient and was actually, for the frequent and consistent hospitalization was actually for, and I don't want to call it bureaucracy, was denied her food delivery after she actually was not going to be hospitalized anymore. They didn't know. So there was an advocacy that had to come about to explain to them the dynamics of what had transpired for this person, and that she would, being under hospice care did not necessarily mean that the person's demise was immediately. And regardless, even if that were the case, we want to make sure that we're providing anyone that's in need of a service, period. And so just those little intricacies of advocacy make a world of a difference in individuals' lives. We visited with that person and found out with her coverage that she has, she gets this little stipend card. I think it's with that of Medicaid recipients, and her utilities were specifically a water bill was one of those situations that she needed immediate help with. And so, of course, the process for going through a lot of programs entail maybe days, possibly a week or more at a time. Sometimes we don't have that kind of time. It's an immediate assessment of sort. We have to kind of make a decision. And in some instances, some people may not want to hear that. We have to go in our own pocket. This was a person on hospice care needing her utility bill. We weren't going to send her through no unnecessary changes, trying to go through the whole process of trying to get some help. So there are times when we actually have to get on the phone and make a call. Benevolent fund contributions that we receive go in, and we know that there is a need, and you don't have to be a certain age, you don't have to be in public housing, whatever the case may be, we can go into those resources and assist. During the COVID pandemic, the Jesse Tree worked tirelessly to assist individuals and families with durable medical equipment. And the interesting thing for that, because we're housed on Mainland Medical Center for the sole purpose of serving Galveston County. It's a centralized location, and post-Ike, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of former Galvestonians that moved to the area that actually benefited from the services as well. It did not in any way stop us from being able to serve within the city limits of Galveston. And I'm on call pretty much 24/7 as well as Ted. So I will make home visits. I'll go. I actually work twofold in a sense with flexibility with that of the Galveston Island Beach Patrol and the Jesse Tree. So if individuals are willing to receive me at 7:30 in the night, I'm there, or as early as 6 o'clock in the morning. I say that meaning that happens. And so with that, we have found a way to make sure that those needs are being addressed. Sometimes they're not going to happen within 5 to 10, 20 minutes, or even the day, but there is something put in place to where you will be receiving a follow-up, if at all possible, the following day. And so the COVID actually was interesting because of many things. We don't have to go into all of that because you can come with your own personal perspectives and recalls. But for us, it was how to maintain the programs that we had in place with the restrictions that were in place. Somehow or another, we managed, right, Ms. Rivera? We had those masks on. We were continuing able to provide the senior food box distributions at our senior residences, which were Gulf Breeze, Holland House, the Oaks. We were able to continue with the chronic medical conditions training classes. We were actually able to assist a lot by doing the screenings over the phone. So it didn't hinder us from the operational realm. The Jesse Tree is serving record numbers of individuals in our immigrant community. I can give in case in point to you just of recent with a situation we had of one of the programs that we work collaboratively with Galveston Island Beach Patrol called the Survivor Support Network. Judy Glacier is one of our long-term members, and we had a gentleman who actually had been assumed to have drowned. He was from Venezuela. He was a Venezuelan migrant about 2 weeks ago. The outcome of his situation was the fact that he did not drown. What transpired is when the guards were actually summoned to assist, he was face down in the water. It turns out he had a chronic medical condition, and unfortunately his demise had transpired for that. Aside from that, it was a situation that entailed so many dynamics that it would take me the rest of the day to just mention all of them. But I will say to this situation, the family was dealing with the loss of their loved one here in Galveston and under the stress of being almost a little resistant to receiving our services of coordination because they were afraid that they were going to be reported to ICE. And so we had to actually, this literally taken a week, to just get the comfort level of understanding that we're here to support. And so I was able to make a actual connection with an attorney that provided us with immigration attorneys to assist the family, and the wife actually has a hearing with immigration this week. And so she's a immigrant as well as her mother and father. They have 2 small children. Keep them in your thoughts. So I mention that because we have never been specifically on one need or area to address. We address from A to Z if we can help. If we can't help you directly, our role is to figure out a way to connect you to a possible resource. The support that the UU has provided us with enables us to do that. We have changed. We are not as we were 25, 30, in fact, the Jesse Tree was founded in 1994. We actually have transitioned to not relying on federal funds. It can be quite restrictive. And for us, we don't have that situation of you come in and you actually are a homeowner and you need some help. Well, we're going to try to figure out how we can help you. We're not going to say, well, you have to fit this income, you have to, that's not serving holistically, that's not serving in the full sense. Let me clarify. I'm not saying that anyone that does that that is not a good thing. I'm saying for us, for the Jesse Tree, for our mission, for our purpose. We are very proud of the first responder services that we offer in the sense that we actually have individuals such as myself that are trained under the Critical Incident Stress Management curriculum. It's an international first responders program. So there are times when we are called for emergency situations, period, that would also entail case management services and an assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to prolong the time. I just want to give you an overview somewhat of what your support and help is for that of the Jesse Tree, and that with your help, we will continue to do our best. Thank you.
David, thank you so much. Got a lot to cover. You did a great job. Thank you. We are going